Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans. The content is coming thick and fast. We only just recorded an episode about an hour and a half ago, and we're back again. We're back again with the next one. It's part 3 of the West Indies 4-day championship series preview, and we go from Trinidad and Tobago. What are we calling them? What are we going to say? To the favourites. We're going to call them the favourites. To the favourites of this year's competition. They got a new name. Their squad is stacked. I'm not sure I've seen a regional squad stacked this much in a long, long time. There's so many talking points. This is, of course, the Guyana Harpy Eagles. My name's Mashal St. Patrick here, one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Of course, you're watching on the visuals. You can see we've got a new guest with us. I'll intro him in a second. But my partner in crime, Santoki, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. And Mashal, you're a brave man calling Guyana the favourites. I think all the Bajans are going to come for you in the comments and likewise. But no, I'm good, Mashal. It's been a long time since I've had a fellow Guyanese guest on the show. I think the last Guyanese guest we had was Shimron Hetmyer a few months ago. I wasn't even here for that. So today I'm joined by a fellow Guyanese, a journalist. A lot of people in the region will know his name, but I'm going to give him the platform and let him introduce himself. So Brandon Corlette, talk to the people.
Hi there, everyone. Brandon Corlette. It's a wonderful opportunity here. I'm happy to be on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. So my name, again, is Brandon Corlette, 22-year-old sport journalist from Guyana Times, right? And I've been following cricket all the time, right? From the build-up to this regional 4-day tournament. The guys had fitness assessments, trial matches. I was there. I witnessed all of it.
Listen, you shouldn't have said that, Now we got tons of questions. We got tons of questions coming your way. But you know what, Brandon? You are doing yourself a bit of a disservice there. So for anyone who's a Caribbean Cricket Podcast long-time listener, or if you're new to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, listen, when it comes to cricket in Guyana, if we are sourcing information for you, we always check in with what Brandon's saying. If anybody has got their ear to the ground in terms of Guyana cricket, it's Brandon Corlette. So if you don't know about Brandon, make sure you know Crick Nation 592. Make sure you go follow his brand and what he's doing, because he's another one. We're always promoting people in the region. Brandon is another one where say you've got to go follow these people to find out what's truly going on in West Indies cricket. So we're really excited to have you on, Brandon. Looking to really get into it in terms of Guyana. Santoki, you're always promoting Guyana as strong favourites for some things. I'm going to let you take this. In fact, no, sorry. Before you take away, Santoki, sorry, let me put the team up on the screen and call the team first. So, Guyana Harpy Eagles, and I'm going to, do you know what? Also, Santoki, when I've finished, and Brandon, I'm going to plead my ignorance here, because I actually have no idea what Harpy Eagles is about. I haven't even bothered to go and look to see why they're actually called the Harpy Eagles, but we'll get to that. But the team, Leon Johnson, as ever, captain, Anthony Adams, Anthony Bramble, Tajnarain Chandrapal Hemraj, Shimron Hetmyer, Tevin Imlak, Keon Joseph, Gudakesh Moti, Kimo Paul, Virasamy Permo, Akshaya Persod, Clinton Pestano, Veshal Singh, and Niall Smith. Boy, what a squad. What a squad. Santoki, take it away.
Yeah, stacked away. But you know what? Firstly, let's get into the name, because obviously Guyana, synonymous with the Jaguar name. The football team's called the Golden Jaguars. We've known the cricket team as the Guyana Jaguars for a number of years now. I think there were legal reasons with the Guyana Cricket Board and the name Jaguar, which led to them calling it the Harpy Eagles. So, Brandon, I'd like to get your thoughts. Firstly, what do you think of the name? Does it suit the team? And sort of explain how it came about.
Yeah, it's a new name from Guyana Jaguars to Guyana Amazon Jaguars, and now the Guyana Harpy Eagles. So if you know, the CPL team is the Guyana Amazon Warriors. So they had a bit of a conflict there with the owner, with the Amazon Warriors and the name to the Amazon Jaguars. And we know this is a new Guyana cricket board led by Bisunde Al Singh. So this administration came up with the name Guyana Harpy Eagles. It's a national board here in Guyana. So a bit of, unfamiliar to a lot of people.
What is a harpy eagle? Like, I presume it's an animal that you could actually see.
Yes. It's actually a nice logo. Actually, I like the logo. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's the first time I'm seeing it. Santoki, what do you think of the new logo?
Yeah, no, it's a good logo. It's original. And if you'd asked me what Guyana cricket team was going to name themselves, Harpy Eagles would have been far down the list. But it can work.
Well, it's the we have to remember before we start looking at the squad, and let's set the context. Yes, Barbados are technically the defending champions, albeit we haven't had red ball cricket regionally for 2 years. But we mustn't forget that Guyana won it 5 years in a row prior to that. So it shouldn't really be a surprise to anyone to see the Guyana squad look so stacked, given their prowess at this format of cricket in the region, Santoki.
Yeah, so let's take it away, Brandon. So obviously the side's got a lot of household names, Leon Johnson, Chandrapur Hemraj, Shimron, Hetmyer as well. Let's look at the other scale of it. So promising players in this squad, new faces. Who do you think fans should be looking out for? Bearing in mind you were at the warm-up games as well.
All right, so Tevin Imlach, the wicketkeeper batsman, he would have played 2 first-class matches. He actually played for the West Indies on the 19 team back in 2016, right? The championship winning team, right? So he's a player that we should look out for. He would have scored a century in the first trial match, a very patient century. So in terms of batting and wicket keeping, Tevin Imlach is one to look out for. And if Anthony Adams, right, he played 1 first-class match, I think that was way back in 2016. If he gets an opportunity, I'm sure he would want to extend that consistency that he would have shown locally here in Guyana, as well as Akshaya Prasad. He would have played 2 first-class matches as well. He played for CCC in the Regional Super 50 tournament a few seasons ago. So I think Akshaya Prasad as well would have done extremely well in the trial matches, right? When batsmen were struggling to get runs, apart from that first trial match where Hetmyer and Imlach scored centuries. Akshaya Prasad was the man to score 2 half centuries, fighting half centuries.
Indeed, and I mean the fans who are listening to this, or supporters who will be listening to this, of course they're waiting for us to talk on Hetmyer and Paul, and there's actually so many talking points of this Guyana team. But actually, Brandon and Santoki, there's some names missing. That some people might be surprised at. So I'm just going to call a few, and you may want to throw some other ones in there. Now, Barnwell, missing. And when we talk about Chris Barnwell, it's not like he's not been contributing. He has contributed quite significantly for Guyana. And I suspect that we will see him in the Super 50 team maybe later in the year. But Barnwell is missing. Kevin Sinclair hasn't made the cut. Some might say that's not actually a surprise, but he hasn't made the cut. I would presume that Santoki Bishu's days are numbered, but he's not. But the only reason I mentioned Bishu is because the last time he played red ball cricket, he was actually in the squad. So I guess I'd have to make some kind of reference to him. But Santoki, you first, actually, before we go back to Brandon. Any thoughts on those names missing?
Yeah, I think Ronnie Sarwan, when he was selector, he did sort of say the team are trying to move on towards the younger players. And so Barn was obviously part of that cut. He's obviously been a veteran in the side. As you said, Mash, I would imagine he's more of a white ball specialist at this point. So no complaints about Barnwell. Now, Sinclair I want to talk about. I think it'd be good to get Brandon's opinion on Kevin Sinclair, because he's obviously someone who was being groomed for West Indies level. He played T20s briefly last year. He's sort of fallen off the radar. So, Brandon, do you want to talk about the development of Kevin Sinclair and why you think he's not been included in the squad?
Yeah, after Kevin Sinclair would have played for the West Indies team, right? He would have returned in the CPL, and he didn't have much opportunities in the Caribbean Premier League representing the Guyana Amazon Warriors. And then he played in the trial match. He picked up 5 wickets, right? So many would have thought, I'm sure, including himself, that he's walking into the Guyana Harpy Eagles squad. But it was a surprise because 3 left arm spinners in the squad.
Yeah, of course. That's a good point, actually. I hadn't even thought about that. So we got Multi, Permol. Who's the other one that I missed in there? And Adams. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe it's more a sign that that's how strong the squad is. That actually, there's just no place for him to get in. But you would have thought for the variety, he might have made the cut. And of course, let's talk on the big names. the big names. Now, let's go with the obvious one first. Shimron Hetmyer was supposed to be in the PSL. Well, no. Let's start again. No, let me start again. Shimron Hetmyer should be playing for the West Indies. Let's actually just get that out on the table. Shimron Hetmyer should be playing for the West Indies. We know why he's not playing for West Indies. It's been very well documented why he's not playing for the West Indies. I think the time when the squad was selected for the Maroon, Shimron was playing in the trial match and then blasted. You were there, Brandon, blasted a brilliant 100. So talk on that in a second. But Shimron has made himself available for these 2 games, which is good. He's going to put if he puts a score on, a big score, he's really going to put the cat amongst the pigeons here, Santoki, because all Shimron really needs to do is 1 significant score, and surely he walks back into the test team, Santoki.
Boy, well, firstly, yeah, he's got to hit a big score. Secondly, I think he might have to cut back on the roti as well to pass the fitness test to get into the squad. But yeah, you're right, Marshall. I think Shimron Hetmyer, if he produces a big scores and he can pass the required fitness test, he's a walk-in for this West Indies test squad, bearing in mind the batting problems they've had. But Brandon, you were at the trial match, you were up close and personal when he scored that century. How was he looking? What was his quality like?
It was a brilliant century. What was surprising is that Hetmyer struck only 1 6 and 7 4s in 256 balls, 149 runs. Let that sink in. 7 4s, 1 6. So he actually did a lot of running. He batted for 300 minutes. So I was very impressed, not only with the runs, but the way in which he actually got the runs, right? He hit a lot of balls on the ground, 1s and 2s and actually 3s, right? So that was a brilliant innings.
Do you get the sense that he might feel he's got something to prove here?
Oh, definitely. He would want to silence the critics, so to speak, right? And the only way he can do that is by scoring runs.
Let me ask. You know what? Because this is a big question. You know, the whole issue of the fitness requirements and standards. We've heard a lot of players in the Guyana squad aren't making the necessary fitness requirements. Ronnie Sarwan said we need to get the yo-yo test up to 45. Being on the ground in Guyana, what do you think the issue is with fitness? Is it an island problem, a nationwide problem, or what? How can you explain it at the moment?
I think it's an island-wide problem. I mean, a lot of these players would have said, "Oh, it's COVID and the gyms aren't opening and stuff like that." But I think these players are professionals. As professionals, you don't have to wait until there's a training camp in session or anything like that. You need to do work on your own. And I can say that most of these players are not putting in the work on their own.
Boys, it don't get more straightforward than that, you know. That's okay. They got to put in the work. But one player who has been putting in the work, and I almost feel like this guy is the forgotten man of West Indies cricket, because of course we all remember, but let me just say it anyways. Do you remember when Chemo made it to the West Indies team that we thought this is the next great all-rounder we're going to have? He made I can't even remember the test match now, but he debuted. He got, maybe, was it 3 wickets? I can't remember. We thought that with the bat, we probably thought he was going to be kind of like what Romario Shepherd is doing now. With the ball, he was literally on the cusp of being a regular in the West Indies team. And then 2020, the injuries came, COVID came, and Chemo just fell off. He fell off, and he's come back now. He had a bit of a, let's say, an average CPL. because it clearly looks like he's working his way back to prime Chemo Paul. But again, Brandon, you're on the ground. How's it been looking for Chemo?
Chemo Paul, fit and ready to go. I mean, that guy has been putting in a lot of work. He actually went to Sri Lanka, right, and played with the Colombo Stars, I think. But Chemo Paul is fit and ready, and he's actually hungry. I would have interviewed him in one of the trial matches, and he actually stands with 88 first class wickets in 22 matches. So I reminded him. I said, "You have you're 12 wickets away, man, from 100." He said, "Yeah, that's in one match. I'll have that."
Oh.
Yeah, he's hungry and he's ready to go. Yeah, he really wants to play for the West Indies team, and he's putting in the work. And he's actually the vice captain here, so he would want to lead from the front, so to speak, in the bowling group, especially.
Let's talk about the opener position in the West Indies at the moment. We've obviously got Craig Bathwaite, and it's Solizano at the moment, you'd imagine, slots in, but these next few games are going to determine who partners Craig Bathwaite. Tagenarine Chanderpaul, he's obviously someone, big cricket in legacy with his father. He's someone who we've seen as a patient batsman. He can soak up a lot of balls. However, there's been questions over his consistency. Do you think he's someone capable of making it to the West Indies senior level in Test cricket? And do you think he can do it with some stellar performances in the upcoming regional games?
Right. Tagenarine Chanderpaul would want to have a big season. He actually averages 29 in first class cricket. And over the years, I would have witnessed stage bat and stuff like that. And he would have consumed a lot of dot balls and the rotation of strike and stuff like that. That wasn't there. But right now, he actually played some cricket in the United States. I think it was in Florida, right? And he looks a bit more attacking than his usual self. So I think Tage, would have added some more to his batting. He's playing a lot more shots. He actually missed out on a century in the first or the second trial match. He actually scored a 90, right? So I think this would be a big season for Tage. And we all know someone is needed to partner Craig in the test batting lineup. So not only Tage, but Hemraj would want to throw his name in the hat there as well to open with Craig in the test match.
Yeah, I'm glad you just mentioned Hemraj, because technically, again, as you said, Brandon, we all know that the other opener slot is not a definitive position for anybody. And when we recorded the Trinidad episode, the Barbados episode, we're going to say the same thing again. Whichever opener in the region can put together, I'm going to say, 2 good scores, surely has to open versus England, whether that be Shane Moseley, whether that be Tage, whether that be Hemraj, whether that be John Campbell, whoever it might be. That position is literally open for anyone. I mean, Santoki, I've been calling for Tage to play for West Indies for a long time. I mean, at the end of the day, a first class average of 29, no, it's not good, but I've always put value on the fact that Tage knows how to occupy the crease. So I would take Tage, Santoki, if he just hit some 50s. That's all I want. I don't care about 100, just some 50s.
Yeah, no, 100%. We've always said he's someone who values his wicket. In the West Indies side, which has had a brittle batting lineup in the past few years, Tagenarine Chanderpaul, you'd imagine as well, with his father around who'd be personally coaching him, he could be able to make that step up to international level. But you know what? Let's talk about Captain Leon Johnson. So he's obviously led this side for a number of years, 5 titles. Captain, he's only had a handful of appearances for West Indies at Test level. Brandon, do you think he's someone who's been unlucky to not have more caps in the West Indies colours?
Yeah, he didn't have a lot of opportunities. He actually opened the batting, I think, in a few Test matches, and I didn't think Leon Johnson is an opening batsman by nature. But, he scored a half century, I think, against South Africa. But Leon Johnson, right, was actually the highest run scorer for Guyana in the last regional 40 season with over 470 runs, right? So Leon is a fit guy. He's among the fittest players in the Harpy Eagles squad, a very disciplined individual. If Leon Johnson can score some runs in this regional 40, we know he's a good captain and all of that. But if he shows consistency, I mean, what else can you say? If you score runs, you can play for the West Indies team.
Yeah, and I don't think we're at a point where we can just say no to someone because of age. At the end of the day, Nkrumah Bonner is 33, and he has taken full advantage of his late season transition into the West Indies team. Leon is 34. I'm not, because some will call the age and say it's too late. It's never too late.
No,
It's never too late. Run at the end of the day, we are not blessed in the Caribbean with lots of run scorers. So whoever makes runs, as far as I'm concerned, cannot be ruled out. And someone else who actually, when you look at that squad, Versamy Permol. Now, the reason I'm calling his name though, because it's Versamy's in a weird position, Santoki and Brandon, because we just saw what he did in the last test match versus Sri Lanka. Arguably, there is an argument to say because of that performance in Sri Lanka, he should leapfrog both Rakeen Cornwall and Jamel Warrican, and certainly leapfrog Roston Chase, if we're talking just in terms of a spin bowler. Arguably, you look at the most recent performance and go, how can you drop him? But does Versamy have to take another shed load of wickets in these two games to be able to be first choice versus England? This is actually a really interesting. This isn't as straightforward as some people might think. So I'm going to you first, Santoki. Do you think his performance in Sri Lanka means he should just be given the opportunity, or does he have to back it up again? We already know he can, but does he have to back it up again with just another mountain set of wickets in these two games?
No, you know what? My opinion is no, I don't think he does, because the season during the pandemic, he took 50 wickets at first class level. He didn't make the West Indies test side. So at that point, we're essentially saying the regional wickets didn't matter in terms of making the international side. He was given a chance in Sri Lanka, one test, took a bucket load of wickets at international level. And for me, that means he's the incumbent spinner. He should be in the next West Indies lineup as the spinner. If it goes to a case of, we're judging him on the performance of two regional games coming up as to whether he makes the West Indies side, it wouldn't make any logic, because we didn't pick him when he took 50 wickets in the previous West Indies regional season. So for me, the fact he's done it at international level means you can't drop him. But like you said, we tend to like spinners who can also bat. We tend to go for more all-rounders like a Chase. So I can imagine they could potentially drop him for that reason. But if I was personally choosing, Versamy makes my squad against England.
Brandon.
Yeah, I would agree. You're on point there, right? But we live in a time where not a lot of things we can be surprised about in terms of selection. So Permol would want to secure a spot by extending that consistency from Sri Lanka and performing this first two regional 4-day matches. So Permol is the first choice spinner, right? Over the years, he dominated regional cricket. 544 matches, 544 wickets in 122 matches. Supreme record. I mean, come on.
I mean, listen, I'm not Guyanese, so I got no. And it's not like he's keeping out some Jamaican spin or anything like that. So I don't know. I think I'm inclined to agree with both of you, and that if they are going to play a frontline spinner versus England, you have to give Permol his chance. But all I would say is don't be surprised if that's not the way they go. It is all I would say. Don't be surprised by that. And that's why I almost feel like Permol has to almost take like a 10-for just to be able to say, well, I took 8 in Sri Lanka. I just took a 10-for versus I can't remember who Guyana are playing first up now. Is it Windwards? Who are they playing first?
Windwards, yeah.
Windward, yeah. So I took a 10-for. You can't drop me. I almost feel like you might have to. Last one, Brandon, before I let Santoki close it off. It was announced today that the next set of games are going to be in May. Now, with the West Indies squad at the moment, there is Romario is with the squad at the moment. Now, I think there's a very strong chance that Romario's probably going to get an IPL deal. I would be surprised if he doesn't. There's probably a strong chance that Shimron gets an IPL deal as well. So just if that was to be, but let's say they didn't, particularly Romario. Let's say Romario doesn't get the IPL deal and he comes back. Who's most at risk of losing their spot if Romario Shepherd comes back and plays some first-class games?
Clinton Pestano, he actually made this Guyana Harpy Eagles squad on the back of strong performances with the bat, and he's more of a bowling all-rounder, right? But he's in the squad based on what he offers, something similar to Romario Shepherd in terms of bowling that heavy ball and batting in the lower order. But Pestano might be the likely replacement.
Right, fantastic. Because I knew there'd be some people probably wondering that if and when Romario comes back. So Santoki, we asked Dino for Trinidad, we asked Nikhil for Barbados. This one feels a bit silly to us, but go ahead all the same. Let's see.
Yeah, so we've asked all our guests so far who do they think is winning the regional title. So far, everyone's picked their own island or country. So Brandon, we're going to ask you, which teams do you think will finish in the top 2 of the table come the end of May?
Easy pick one, Guyana Harpy Eagles and Barbados Pride.
So we're 3 teams down and still no one's saying Jamaica. Do you know what? We've probably done the 3 strongest teams to begin with, though. If you think about it, Barbados, Trinidad, and Guyana. I don't think many people are looking outside of those 3 teams, but that's been brilliant, Brandon. That's been so good getting you one. We hope, Brandon, that you will return and come on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Definitely.
And where can people find you on social media? Because I'm sure we have a lot of fans in the UK, US who want to look you up and get some news from you.
Yeah, so my social media handles Brandon Corlette. That's on Instagram. Brandon Corlette as well on Facebook. I actually have my own website, CrickNation 592, and I also work with the Guyana Times newspaper.
So anybody, particularly the diaspora population, Guyanese in America, Guyanese in the UK, I know there's a lot of you who listen to us, Canada as well. Anything you're trying to find out about Guyanese cricket and West Indies cricket, Brandon's your hookup. So he's given you the socials and the @. Make sure you go and follow. We don't tell you to follow anybody unless it's worth it. So go and follow Brandon, please, and get involved with everything that he's doing. Ladies and gents, that's been part 3. That's been the newly named Guyana Harpy Eagles. And according to Santoki and Brandon, the favourites for this year, for this year's competition. We've been the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Thank you and good night.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rule seems coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.